Licorice can get himself a favorable matchup, and let's see how BLG adapt, because now they're the one with the momentum taken out of them. They will stay on blue side, which surprised me. I feel like there was a big advantage, a big opportunity for them if they had gone to the red side, but they sit there and believe that blue side is the play. So let's see what they're playing. They banned Yasuo.
There it is.
They banned Yasuo.
Well, that means we're going to see something left open from the side of BLG.
Well, so Poppy is now left open.
Yep.
Diego going to be banned away. So the Poppy is the champion that's been left open for Licorice in the top lane.
Maybe get the Poppy going. And again, that's kind of a good hard-engaged champion that does similar things to the Cassante. You're going to keep the same three bans as Golden Guardians, the Lucian, the Annie, and the Kennen. And now BLG, see where they want to try and take this first pick. They're going to go back to the Vi, but we were only just talking before we actually came back to live, is that this just straight up opens the Xayah Rakan once again, at least the Rakan, which was just so good for Huhi.
Yeah, I think though that what BLG is saying is the reason why your comp works, the reason why you had all that flexibility was because the Yasuo brought it all together. It was a pretty comfortable matchup into the RE, the scaling was incredibly strong, and you always had good follow-up to complement all of the dive. Golden Guardians is saying, okay, fair.
You know what, Elk? You were pretty great. We don't want you to get that jinx
Well, now
again.
you just know that BLG is going to respond with the Aphelios, though. Nothing too crazy for him. The question is what will happen with the Rakan. I really want to see Huhi on that Rakan. On had a great Rakan performance. Huhi had the same thing. The Poppy priority lock-in perhaps dissuades BLG from going in that direction, though, because Poppy can be a real nuisance for Rakan engage.
Absolutely. Get that steadfast presence up, and you are going to have so much more difficulty trying to get on top of these AD carries. But we'll see if BLG are up for the challenge. I will say that Elk has, regardless of the results of the games, been exceptional throughout every single laning phase, but it looks like the Xayah and the Rakan locked in here. BLG saying, look, we're now happy to kind of take this. I wouldn't be surprised to see Golden Guardians go for a Lulu themselves and try and, you know, again, kind of hopefully have the reverse of the early game that they had happen to them.
I will say, if they do go for the Lulu, though, it means that a lot of the engage responsibilities fall on top of Riven, right? He then becomes that primary engage tool, and I think that when we've seen Golden Guardians have the most success, it's when River and Huhi work together, or Huhi and Licorice work together. Morgana. You know, on Euphoria with K-Draw, I spoke to him about Morgana, and he told me that we're never going to see him pro play, trash champion, never existed. Joke's on you, Mark. The Morgana into Vi specifically is a very well-known counterpick. The Black Shield completely mitigates that engage. Also, very difficult for the Rakan to be able to proc it in terms of the knockup, so it provides good peel for the Jinx. So perhaps Morgana combined with the Poppy could be enough to make life difficult for the Rakan to follow up alongside the Vi.
Absolutely, and this is just such a kind of anti-Vi, anti-Rakan composition being built right now by the side of the Golden Guardians, and it does offer a lot of support and a lot of safety to Stixxay.
The Cassante is still banned because they're concerned about it potentially being used in the mid lane as well.
I was going to say, so we're going to see them kind of still going for that as well. And Morgana can go into support. I have heard it's, you know, going back into the mid lane a little bit as well on this patch, so we'll see what way people kind of want to work with it. But at the end of it all, we're going to see Golden Guardians kind of taking away those big kind of variables, the hard engage from Yagao. He loves having those big facilitators, those things like Lissandra. He still has plenty of options, but they're getting rid of the easy ones from him and the Gwen as well from away from him.
I wonder if Golden Guardians is looking at an Ahri for themselves. You know, just blind pick that one, and then they can look to complement that with a strong jungler, maybe something like a Wukong if they feel that that does make sense. But the Lissandra ban does suggest to me that they are thinking about the Ahri, and that will be the ban that then comes through from BLG. So the mid pool going to be very different. Without hesitation, though, the LeBlanc is locked in for Gore. We saw that pick come out from him yesterday. We've seen this come out from him and in the LCS. And a lot of agency is being given to him. A strong poke champion, also a lot of mobility. They're basically making it very difficult for Vi to lock anyone down.
Absolutely, and even the Vi goes forward. We've seen a million times where she kind of jumps onto the LeBlanc. The LeBlanc brings her about 4 screens away from her team. So see what they want to try and answer now on the side of BLG. Yagao could take the Syndra, good laning phase there, good setup as well for the Vi, decent kind of thing. Not as strong, you know, in certain kind of early skirmishes as the Ahri with that kind of mid-jungle combination, but can definitely set up a good success here for BLG in that mid lane.
I mean, Syndra is just a very powerful laner in complement or alongside the Vi. The Sion Hover right now for BLG. Very uncharacteristic for Bin when you look at his entire split this year. But we know that after the defeat to JDG, this is something he's been practicing, and it will be the Scion. How shocked are you right now?
I mean, this is, as you say, something he has been absolutely spamming, and it's just like such a departure. But honestly, I like it, to be perfectly honest, coming out here from the side of BLG, because as we just mentioned a few moments ago, Elk has been the carry. Elk has been the one where you want to kind of give all your resources to. So unfortunately for Bin, he kind of has to take a sidestep to this and kind of say, look, that's just the way it is, man. You're no longer going to be our primary carry for this. We're relying on Elk, and the Scion kind of adds to that.
Well, I will say, though, I think this Jarvan pick for Golden Guardians gives them a very powerful mid-jungle duo. Syndra is like many other control mages that when they don't have their flash, they are very prone to ganks. And LeBlanc, Jarvan, it's just a control mage's nightmare.
Yeah, it's a lot of burst.
So the second that Syndra loses her flash, she is in so much danger. And you look at the ability to roam from Golden Guardians, the fact that there's potentially so much mid pressure, I imagine it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath in the mid jungle 2 versus 2. I'm sure Golden Guardians won't fall prey to the same early game shenanigans that we saw in last game.
Hope.
But a lot of responsibility, once again, does fall on River. We talked about how he needs to be engaged in this composition. Jarvan is a perfect champion to be able to do that. Can also potentially lock up the Xayah to make her life difficult. Even if she uses the ultimate, she will have to invest the flash to be able to get out of that situation. But it's a typical front-to-back composition from BLG. They do have a lot of dive threats, but the follow-up isn't quite as reliable as it is with something like an Ahri, because you do have a certain range limitation on the side of the Syndra. So I really like what Golden Guardians have drafted for themselves. I think it gives them a lot of agency. I think they still have very good scaling, and I'm excited to see what they can do in Game 3. Winner moves on to the main stage to join the big dogs at MSI. The loser will have to fight their way through the lower bracket, and no one was expecting it to be BLG. We'll see if Golden Guardians can make the comeback happen, or if BLG can cement themselves at the top of this group.
Well, London, we are going to a third game. Winner takes all. It's all about this one final fight on the Rift. Are you a believer in LCS? Do you believe in miracles?
30 seconds until
Or will BLG just take a little bump on the road towards what was an expected victory over the LCS second seed? And you can see already no shenanigans in this early stages. No one looking for anything crazy. Everyone knows that every inch can mean a mile, and every mistake can mean a loss.
Licorice hesitant to face check. Some of the pings coming down from BLG. Bin going to walk out of that one. So far, just a pretty stock standard line of scrimmage. Early sweeper being picked up by On.
Minions have spawned.
See the runes across the board. Airy for Yagao, Electrocute for Gory, Guardian for Huhi. Sometimes you see the Airy for a little bit more poke, but this time choosing to go for a little bit more peel. The defensive option, Grass for both top laners. Nothing too crazy across the board. Pretty stock standard for what we're going to be seeing from both sides. Exciting game though. Didn't expect it to come to this. Let's see what you can do, Golden Guardians. River going to start topside, get a bit of help from Licorice. And Jeune is going to be doing the same thing, so both junglers looking to match right now. I wonder if River will do a full topside clear into a mid gank. You can already see Gory looking to get a bit of a trade happening off in the mid lane. Starting with the Corrupting Pot, very common for LeBlanc, often using health as a trading tool to be able to get advantage in the lane, already getting that early prio. We'll take a bit of poke damage from Yagao. Once.
Yep.
And there's the Black Shield right there.
Exactly what you talked about. Just such a powerful tool to be able to keep Stixxay safe, even in those level 1s.
So one of the reasons why Lux is considered a good matchup into Rakan is because you kind of know where his E is going to go, right? Because he kind of like, it's telegraphed in a sense. Oh, the flash forced out.
We're going to see them there. On taking a fair chunk of damage on the back side of that one there. Level 2 is equaled out.
Well, I was going to say, like, the Black Shield lands.
And the Black, they're going to get so much damage. One more auto attack will be enough. He does get the heal out, but they're not going to commit anything else. Stixxay didn't have a flash to follow.
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of a communication difference there. Who he wanted to commit with the heal, but Stixxay more focused on the farm. Who he now trying to land the binding, and River using this as an opportunity to invade.
Don't know if he wants this, because Elk is already there, and River's going to realize now that he does not want to be sitting there, but he gets himself information, so they know that the Vi is on this bot side, and it's Golden Guardians this time around with a bit of an early advantage in this bot lane.
Gory has so much control of the mid lane matchup that this gives River a lot of safety with push in mid and bot. River is using his priority well. He has to make sure he doesn't overstay his welcome. Good trade back from Yagao will force the passive out from Gory. As Bin continues to push in the top side of the map. Jun will not lose any of his bot side jungle camps, which means that River will have effectively wasted a little bit of time in the early game, as Stixay now finding an opportunity to go back to base.
Root does land, but Yagao getting that level 4 means that Gory doesn't want to go in with the Ignite. There was potentially a moment there. He could have maybe gone full force into it, but Licorice now being pushed in underneath his turret. Should be able to claim most of this, keep himself relevant here. And this is the thing as well, with the jungler starting on that top side, they knew straight away that this was a wet noodle fight. We're not going anywhere near top side. If you get a solo kill, great for you. We're looking towards mid and bot. That is where these next few fights are going to happen.
Yeah, mid is super important for both sides. Ideally, you want to try and snowball this LeBlanc, get as many kills as possible in the early game. It gives her so much agency in the 1v1 matchup. LeBlanc did receive some buffs not that long ago, which also improved her wave clear with the additional damage that the Q now also does. Gory had to be careful though, of course, not running the TP. He's in fact running the Ignite, meaning he had to take a back, which gave him a window to not lose too much farm. Yagao choosing not to commit the TP himself. The wave is in a decent spot. Golden Guardians, this is a dangerous window here, because they know that Gory has no TP, and they're threatening a dive. Jarvan being spotted on the top side.
Yeah, they know it's a 3v2 at the best. There's going to be the Black Shield coming in on, not quite taking the aggro just yet. Stixay will go down. First blood for BLG, who he's still underneath the tower here. They reset the aggro. It's not going to be On who has to take it, though. It has to go down onto Shun straight away. They're wasting a lot of time. They finally go in on top of it. He flashes away, but he shall not escape. Nice little bit of extra healing onto Shun means they get themselves a clean 2 kills on the bot side.
And so much farm is lost for the Golden Guardians bot lane, and this is one of the disadvantages of not running that TP. Gory couldn't actually match in the bot side of the map. Licorice didn't really have the health bars. Elk secures himself another plate and gets to sync up that back alongside his support. Will grab the boots, and already the bot lane being set up for success. Great play from BLG. And we'll see here, just a stacked wave into dive. Jungler not in a position to be able to mitigate. The spell shield comes through to limit the amount of CC. There is the traps being set down by On. Tanking that tower means that there's very little that can be done about it. And you'll see here from Hu, he throws out the binding to try and keep Jun locked up underneath the tower. But it is On that ends up tanking it, which means that Jun doesn't get trapped underneath the tower, and there's no way for the trade back. So overall, just a very clean dive from BLG, and now once again, a massive advantage gain in the bot side of the map.
Oh, flash forward, unleash power! But not enough to take down Gory. That was just a great opportunistic move there from Yagao, recognizing he hit the level 6 first.
A really good punish from Yagao. The problem is Yagao did commit the flash.
Yeah.
We talked about how important that flash is in this matchup, specifically the amount of setup that you have with the LeBlanc Jarvan is terrifying. River goes for a bit of a trade, but here is Jun to cover. Good positioning from Jun, recognizing that that wave needs to be pushed in.
Shun and Yagao could have come up here to try and help out Bin. Bin does have the ultimate, actually used the ultimate. There's going to be the Keeper's verdict. Licorice should be fine. That's the Poppy keeping herself relevant and safe in that top lane.
River doing a good job of holding that wave in mid as well, so that Gory doesn't lose too much still. Well, there we are, level 6 now ticked over. River has his eyes on bot lane.
Oh, they're going to fully commit here because they know Stixay doesn't have his flash yet, and he just wasn't in a position to protect his AD carry. It's looking very similar to game number 2 now. Elk and On just very much winning that 2v2.
Yeah, they get themselves the Zyra Rakan. They know how powerful it is for the 2 versus 2, and they are just dominating right now. Really well played from BLG. And now they've built themselves a 2k gold lead already. Bin getting big advantages top as well.
That buckler going wide as well. It's a unfortunate movement there. Licorice needs to be very aware that he can't take too many of those trades there, as Dragon gets secured by BLG. They may look to try and see them go for something in this bot side again. They want Shun, who's not too far away from 6. They could look for a dive.
Just to say, only level 4. Golden Guardians bot lane once again find themselves in a very difficult position. They have to do what they can to claw their way back into the game. Licorice doesn't quite have the same agency that he had on the K'Sante, and so far this mid matchup hasn't really gone that way in the favor of Golden Guardians. I really want to see them try and leverage this advantage of a flashless Yagao. But for the time being, Yagao just playing safe, doing what he can to mitigate the damage. And overall looking very solid in the mid matchup. River once again hovering around top. Sees an opportunity here maybe, but Bin has the flash. And even if he gets a kill, I don't really think it matters a huge amount in the grand scheme of the game. We'll clear out his topside camps, but with Herald spawning soon, that might be the next objective that both teams play for.
Yeah, On spotted off by a ward in the top half of this mid lane River. But again, it's just all BLG kind of having control, very similar to game number 1, but definitely feeling a little bit more suffocating right now. And again, it's kind of the thing, the Victor Morgana, it's a great kind of disengaged thing, but we talked about this. What was so good about Huhi in the first series they played? In now this one, it was engages, and you're kind of not really got that now from Huhi. He's on an Enchanter again, which is just something that doesn't feel as natural for him to kind of pop off on. He's very much relying on the rest of his team to be able to kind of utilize his utility to make those plays.
Again, a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on River's shoulders to find those engages. He's hovering around mid, has the ultimate. That's one of those situations where, in my head, with Yagao having no flash, why not just commit to that play? I guess they're concerned about where Jun is on the map, and they're worried about whether or not they'd actually be able to win out in the skirmish. But yeah, right now, Golden Guardians not really finding much in the early game. Down about 2.5k gold, a lot of that on the bot side of the map. Elk, I'm sure there's some crazy stat about how many plates he's been able to get for himself so far in the tournament. 1,200 gold is the difference. A bit of an actual CS golden. Oh, here we are.
Looking for something in that mid lane there. Gory going to go straight back and get the Unleashed power thrown onto him, but he is just fine. Shun not really able to land those CC cleanly, and now River maybe thinking about going for a bit of an engage here. They will not get the black shield or the black binding down. They're trying to see if they can maybe go for something else here. The Jinx rocket goes on. Shun still ticking down and will finally go down in favor of Gory. Golden Guardians find themselves finally on the board.
So Golden Guardians are able to make a play happen. They punish Jun, who committed so much to trying to get that kill onto Gory. And the good news for them is Gory actually picks up the kill with the Ignite as well. So small advantage gains back for them. Can they now look for a pick onto Elk? No, they cannot. Huhi in danger.
Black Shield doing a hell of a lot of work there. If he gets caught out by even the smallest bit of CC, he is dead to rights. So Huhi being a bit more risky right now, trying to see if he can be a bit more of a nuisance, keeping On's vision as defensive as possible. At the moment, it's still BLG kind of coming forward, looking for those fights, being the aggressors, and honestly, it was only just because they had a little bit of a whoopsie in that mid lane that Shun ended up getting caught out.
My eyes on Licorice here. He's moving into the fog of war.
Shun is here.
Deep vision, or maybe also group up with his team. It's like for now, it's just it's a threat of a dive. It sticks there completely alone right now. Yeah, and there's the Herald. 5 plates once again going to Elk. I feel like that this is just an expectation so far. As BLG do a great job of funneling Elk and trusting him to be the big carry for BLG. Continues to snowball this lead. They're going to push this Herald all the way into the tier 2 bot. There's only 6 left alone. Level 9 about to be ticked over for Elk as well. He's on the same XP as Gory. He's higher XP than Yagao is. Ultimate.
Ridiculous. They're going to try and commit here onto River. They will not get the charm off in time, but they will get the knock up afterwards, and that's just as easy as you like. Shun picking that one up there. Gory trying to trade back just a little bit, but this is BLG coming in and playing for business. They know they have a job to do, and they know they have to do it cleanly.
Yeah, they're taking their time. They're playing very patiently. A bit of poke coming out from Gory to interrupt the recalls, but the damage being done right now. Once again, a great pick coming out from BLG. Caught River completely unawares, no flash available. Means that the collapse with the combined CC, and they waited for the EQ as well before On then committed to the knockup. And they were able to find themselves another pick. The back comes through. Gale Force now secured for Elk.
And look, if you're an LCS fan, if you're a Golden Guardian fan, don't be worried, you're chilling. This is your comfort zone. 4,000 gold behind, bot lane, not really doing the greatest. They're picking up a second dragon. I mean, it's not too dissimilar to what we saw in game number 2, but circumstances are very different. What you have available to you is very different, and I feel like that's going to be the big difference maker coming down to game number 3. It feels like BLG taking away that Yasuo in the draft phase did make a huge dent in what Golden Guardians could do to kind of, you know, get those big team fights victories for them.
It certainly felt like it been as well, having so much more control in this top lane matchup. The Poppy comfort pick coming out for Licorice, but it's been securing plate after plate. The Scion doing very well in the 1v1. And now look at BLG looking to find a pick. Heads
they don't
into
have a comment though. Yeah, they didn't have a comment. That was the very thing there. They actually had no way of knowing that that was going to happen when they did that, but BLG do end up kind of pushing themselves back. Recognizing they have been spotted.
They push in mid. with their bot lane rotating over. They're going to send Yagao to bot. He's actually going to commit the TP to catch that wave. After securing that tower, the easy thing for Yagao to do is just clear the waves. Ultimate invested.
Gonna try and get the flash out of Elk, but he hasn't had to use it just yet. Uses his cleanse as the Ignite came out onto River. Good heal comes in. Elk goes into the Feather Storm. They're trying to jump onto him. Elk has gone down. They're moving now onto On. They're getting the resets. There comes the Scion train, but Sticksace tries to sidestep it. The Black Shields is a little bit too little too late. He's trying to burn down onto Shun, but he shall not get it. The clone from Gory will go down, but after it, it ends up being a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians finding a nice fight in the mid lane, but what can BLG get off the back of it? Because they have the health advantage, they have the numbers advantage, they're going to get themselves a few more plates. So even though Golden Guardians found at the very least something back, BLG, I still feel overall walk away the victors. Of course, I didn't notice top lane. Licorice securing himself a couple plates, so that's definitely going to help in the gold department. But overall, good fight from Golden Guardians. They committed onto shutting down Elk with the ultimate from the jump very early on. Tried to force his ultimate out, but he was very patient. Didn't want to get too scared. Licorice, I think he should be able to walk out this one, right?
Should be fine. Pretty long cooldown these early levels on the Scatter of the Week, but maybe he wants to go for a bit of a fight afterwards. But like you said, looking at this one here, it's still a good win for Golden Guardians to get some gold on the Sticksace.
So Gory is coming in from the River and wants to create this flank. So River commits the ultimate first, has the EQ to get out, but the ultimate just doesn't come out from Elk. He holds his ground. He knows that he's confident with On right there. He tries to get a kill, but the heal onto River keeps him alive. Then the ultimate comes through. Gory actually misses the R ultimate, but then is able to proc the electrocute with the Q and an auto attack. Sticksace then picks up a kill onto On, but then doesn't have his flash available. So he's got to do what he can to circumvent this fight. Tries to throw his ultimate out, but Jun doesn't walk the way that he wants him to, which means it ends up just being a 2-for-1.
Well, Riftchild number 2 being started up here by BLG. Should be a pretty easy secure, you would imagine. Bin kind of protecting Elk. Who he and Sticksace try to put down a little bit of damage. We've seen this gold difference of 14 presented by MasterCard quite a few times. They get a engage onto River, who does have the EQ to try and maybe get away from this, but they're fully trying to commit now onto him. The Unleashed Power doesn't finish him off. Who he going golden to try and get his ultimate off, and he will do just that. They throw in the ultimate On, not quite able to go down. The flash in, Licorice finds himself Shun, but everyone's got themselves a flash to get away. Golden Guardians thinking they maybe had an opportunity there. They're baiting there with their health bars, but nobody goes down.
A very close skirmish between the two teams, but it's actually BLG that end up losing out. Flashes used from both Yagao and Jun mean that they're not going to have that available. A lot of mobility and disengage on the side of Golden Guardians means that it's difficult for BLG to lock them down in this fight. Remember, you have Licorice's ultimate still up. Gory with the insane mobility, River with the EQ, the Black Shield as well available for Huhi, on top of the ultimate that's available for the Morgana. The only downside right now for Huhi is that he does not have the stopwatch anymore. He's going to need that Zhonya's before he has that tool available. The Dragon spawns in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. Ultimate should be back up by that time. And I wonder if Golden Guardians will look for a fight. Gory's got to feel pretty strong right now. Very close to level 11, which is a nice spike for him. Getting 2 points in his ultimate. But overall, it feels like BLG mainly in control of the game. They're going to secure themselves another outer tower in top lane. Gory is hesitant, as he doesn't really have that much information on his side of the jungle, which means he's going to have to concede this tower, wait for the wave to come into him.
And even though nobody goes down, like you said, it was just kind of BLG with the health bar advantages. They didn't need to go for a full reset. They could get everyone else onto those side lanes and kind of create that pressure. And seeing it a couple of times now, this mid lane just kind of being left to the wayside a little bit by Golden Guardians. They're kind of trying to cover all their side options for the moment, but 40 CS lead between Elk and Sticksace. It's just been kind of the Elk show for BLG for so long of this MSI campaign so far. But Game 2 has taught us anything, is that all it takes is 1 or 2 good little picks here from Golden Guardians to bring themselves back. BLG not infallible in those situations.
Certainly true. Dragon up for 10 seconds. Golden Guardians actually have access to the River first. Gory is a little bit late to the party. Ideally, you want him sitting in Fog of War, throwing out Poke. The Herald used to secure this tower. BLG doing the smart thing. Making sure they have Prio in mid. On. Still gets rooted up, I think, by the traps.
No, he got hit by the Dark Binding.
Did he really?
Yeah, as he went back to the Vi, he got hit by the Dark Binding. But now, you see the Scion engaged, not really going to land onto anybody. EQ was denied as Licorice finds himself on the backside, pumps down the stat Fred's presence, they jump onto Elk, but River is now already dead. You've lost your front line and nobody from BLG has gone down. The idea was good from Golden Guardians, but their carries couldn't put in the damage.
Bin acting as such an effective front line. Sticksace just could not get through him. Elk did take a lot of damage with the combined dive coming out from River, Licorice, and Gory, but it's not quite to the same effect as their composition from last game. Yagao, see danger here, nice sidestep.
On his happy feet, he will get stunned up, but will they commit to him? That is the question. They will look for him there. There's the Unleash power. After he uses the stopwatch, we're going to see On just kind of going in. Two-man scatter the weak. Means that Stixay's got nowhere to go, and he's going to fall down. This is Golden Guardians falling apart a little bit. They thought they had an opportunity, but the door gets shut on their foot.
Yeah, an overcommitment there from Golden Guardians means that BLG secure themselves another pick. And BLG really starting to run away with this game. You can see how their composition is very straightforward to execute front to back. And Golden Guardians just don't have the threats to get through Bin. Full tank Scion acting as a wall between him and Elk. Something that he couldn't provide last game, he's able to effectively provide here. So Licorice sitting on the flank in the river. It's Bin that starts the engage off, does what he can. It's actually, well, it's the Syndra that gets knocked out of the fight. So they create a 4 versus 5 initially, but look at Elk. Gets committed onto by River, but the rest of the follow-up just isn't there. Gory does what he can, but he doesn't quite have the damage to secure the kill. No, this is what we're going to see from these fights moving forward. Unless Stixay gets to a point where he can deal with this front line of BLG, it's just going to be the Elk show from start to finish.
He's got the Navori quick blades now, so getting extra cooldown there on his abilities with every crit he hits, so it'll be even more difficult to try and bring him down. And it's just so much harder. Again, like you think about the last game, the reason why the Yasuo was so impactful was that when you had got the, the Gragas from River getting in, it didn't matter where Gory was, he could get within range with that ultimate, get that range kind of going for it. But now, River caught out in his own jungle a little bit. They will jump onto Elk just very quickly and try and burn him down, but they don't have the damage. Elk finally getting to go up into his ultimate, but he's taken out. They've killed off the AD carry of BLG, but Stixay trying to see if he can get away from Yagao. He cannot. It's a trade of 1-for-1. Huhi trying to see if he can survive as the Rakan is the next one to fall. It's support for support. Finally, River will go down. Licorice is on the backside here. Yagao not quite able to get killed. Yes, he will. The turret helps out his team a little bit. Licorice is in a lot of trouble, though, as they try to use a little bit more damage. Gets Shun over the wall, and he gets the kill as well. Shun finally cleaning up this fight for BLG as they fight between the turrets.
Wow, BLG walk away the victors once more. Another massive team fight in the top side jungle. As Golden Guardians, they're able to get that initial pick onto Elk, but it costs them so much. And this top jungle duo, they're just a menace. It feels like that they're unkillable with the damage threat that exists on Golden Guardians right now. You can see this starts off with BLG just moving into the topside jungle. They find a little skirmish, they commit onto River initially, then the binding lands onto Elk, the chain CC is good. The ultimate comes through from River, but like the damage is great from Golden Guardians. They start off the fight great, but this TP from Yagao completely silencing Stixay from the fight means that he doesn't really get to follow up on any further resets. And with him gone, your then only real damage threat is Gory, which then gives so much space for BLG to just devastate this fight. And Yagao does so much work chipping away at Gory's health bar as Jun and Bin are giving the freedom to decimate Golden Guardians.
You see as well, Licorice just kind of finding himself on the backside. It's good, but is getting that keeper's verdict. I feel like it has to be on the Scion. It has to be on the front line to make sure that the Stixay can kind of plant his feet and do significant damage. We will see BLG now kind of threatening around this Baron side of the pit. It's just so hard for Golden Guardians to walk up, even with a little bit of vision control they know they can't defend it.
Bin forcing Golden Guardians back by himself, escorting his wave up, gives BLG so much control over the top side of the map, and I think this is consistent from what we've seen. River in danger. River
is in danger, and he's going to get jumped on as well. Gets hit up by the Scion. There's just nothing he can really do, and
that's a Baron.
That is probably a Baron.
A big overstep there from River, trying to contest vision that just didn't belong to him, and this top side of the map completely belongs to BLG. They know that there's no threat of a steal. On doing what he can to zone Golden Guardians away. But this looks like an easy objective secure for BLG.
Yeah, you got no sneaky spellbook smite to come out
Maybe
here right now.
Maybe Gory's burst could be enough.
It could be, but I'm not an optimist. I'm a little bit of a glass half empty here for the Golden Guardians as BLG look to try and secure themselves a big purple worm. We will see the Keeple's Verdict come out. They tried to go for a bit of a cheeky play. I like it. They did get the jungler not away, so he's going to be able to pick that one up. That's a fairly easy smite secured there from the side of BLG. And at 22.5 minutes, they've got a Baron buff to help them push in these waves.
That they do. And you can feel how BLG are just slowly suffocating the the enthusiasm and the hype away from Golden Guardians after what was a momentous comeback victory in Game 2. BLG have played this game calm, collected, controlled. They play through their bot lane spectacularly. Bin has had so much more control over Licorice in the topside matchup, and they've used their agency once again to just maintain this control over the river. They don't allow Golden Guardians access into the halfway point in the map, and they're looking for another pick. Licorice isolated in the bot lane.
They know how big of a carry you were in game number 1. They do not want it to happen, or sorry, in game number 2, and they do not want it to happen here in game number 3. They're throwing everything at Licorice in the top side. This one feels a little personal as they get down the Golden Guardians top laner, and they are going to continue their push now in this bot side.
Now with the Baron buff, they're looking to try and already break into the base of Golden Guardians. They don't really have much of a wave to work with, so BLG will have to wait. Yagao is escorting one in the mid lane. Both waves should connect with the tower at about the same time. So BLG should have a very comfortable siege, and Gory not really with much rate. Good damage though.
Oh, fantastic damage, and dodged out on, but now he's a little bit isolated away from himself. A stopwatch for Yagao keeps him alive, but Stixxay was left all on his lonesome. Yagao will be traded back, so they do get the mid laner of BLG, but they've lost their AD carry. No one can kill the Scion.
Absolutely no one can. Great dive from BLG to shut down the AD carry of Golden Guardians. The reset's coming in from River, but that's going to be 2 inhibitors 24 minutes in. BLG are dominating here in Game 3 and re-establishing themselves as top dogs of this group.
They really are trying to see if they can just kind of, as I said, a little bit of a bump in the road before getting themselves to the bracket stage. A couple of question marks to really kind of come out of this one here, as they do get the knockback, and that's mean that the Xayah is no longer here. That means there's no consistent damage, so Golden Guardians might have picked the perfect target to knock away from this fight. They'll pick up on Bin is very, very tanky. You still don't quite have Stixxay here, and now El can rejoin the fight. It's a 4v2 for the moment as Huhi looks for a little bit of a flank. Stixxay finally finds himself here as they look for a little bit more. Huhi will not get his flank off as Shun gets himself right back onto that sideline. Now El can really start to throw down these feathers as Bin is just unstoppable. The fridge that is in that top lane, the Scion just beefing himself up and saying, hit me with what you got.
BLG have the Nexus in their eyes. The question is, will they look to try and end? The answer is no. Dragon is available. They're going to play this one safe. The Baron wears off in 15 seconds, and the damage has been done. 2 inhibitors fall. Summoner's burn. And he tried to find a flank over the wall. He then flashed into it, unfortunately, which means that there was no threat onto El. He was able to really dish out damage, and you just had to watch him in that fight, how he used Bin as a literal meat shield.
Yep.
No one could come close to him. BLG have just dominated from start to finish. Golden Guardians, they've showcased some very promising stuff, and I'm sure that going into the lower bracket, whether it be G2 or PSG, this will be a team that you have to take caution when going up against. But right now, this is looking like BLG's game to lose. It looks like the BLG will be securing a spot in the main stage of MSI. Of course, they still need to close things out, but as much as I'd love to talk about the comeback chances of Golden Guardians, how do they deal with Bin? Normally, you talk about that in the context of his Jax, his Fiora, his carries in the top lane. But right now, he's just an unkillable Titan that will not be moved.
A war elephant right now, just escorting Elk in to just kind of rain fire and hell upon Golden Guardians. There's going to be the flank of all flanks. They will spot it out though. If Licorice can get it, but BLG, they're not going to overcommit just yet. Licorice needs to try and get past this vision, but I believe that
ward on the Krugs is going to be the nuisance. Does he know about it?
I don't think he knows about it, so we'll wait and see what
they're waiting for the wave, I think.
Yeah, they're waiting to try and go for it. Gory putting in a little bit of damage. Now they spot him. Now they know it. Immediately they all start to go back on him. So your flank has turned into your death, your tomb, as the rest of BLG just descend upon you. Nothing you can do, Licorice. God loves a trier, and now he's with God.
I love the idea. I love the attempt from Licorice. Unfortunately, the vision is just too good from BLG. They control the flank, they mitigate Golden Guardians' options, and now they're threatening the final tier 3 tower. Golden Guardians will do what they can to hold the line, but against Bin,
he's not taking damage. He's just not taking damage. Look at him just walking forward, saying, hit me with everything, because it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter how much damage you have. It's not going to make a difference. Bin going towards a tank very off kind of, center for him, but it is looking fantastic. And BLG putting their faith into Elk, the carry that has done so well for them. Yagao takes out Stixay. River shall no longer be of this earth. It took them a little longer than they expected, but it's looking like BLG should be able to get themselves up into the bracket stage. They will join JDG and T1 and Gen G and the rest of the teams to bring themselves up into the real best of 5 challenge.
Golden Guardians holding the line for the time being on, likely to lose his life, but so will Huhi.
Yeah, Licorice just seeing if he can keep Yagao away. They're just trying to delay at the moment, a flash away. It's going to take a little bit longer without their AD carry. They cannot burn these health bars down, and Gory stays alive. Licorice and Gory just keeping everybody at bay and making me look very foolish.
Yeah, massive props to Gory. I felt like that it was a done deal right there. His wave there wouldn't be enough, but he gets that initial pick onto Elk. And then he finds another pick onto On. So combined, Licorice and Gory keep the game alive for now. Golden Guardians not out just yet.
Double super minions in each wave, though, coming in. It's going to be so difficult. They will be able to trade them back a lot, though, because you have got Stixay just kind of soaking up all of these minions, kind of getting as much gold into him as he possibly can. But Golden Guardians can't leave their baits. You would imagine BLG go for the Baron and then go for the end once everybody's up and ready to go.
All right, BLG. After that small fumble of the enemy Nexus, I'm just going to play it safe.
Bit early.
Yeah, a little bit early.
Bit early there, mate.
Steal very unlikely to come through from Golden Guardians. This should just melt for BLG. And just a great game 3 from BLG overall. Commanding, controlled, and just a replication of what we saw in their game 1. Fantastic river control, heavy investment in bots. Bin looking for a fight.
I mean, Bin's just going straight in 1v3. They want everything there. They want to kill off Huhi as well. He will flash away. The Keeper's Verdict is good to knock back a couple of people. Bin still standing strong, still standing forward. Licorice just hasn't got a health bar. And BLG, they felt like they should have won on that last push, and they will almost certainly win on this one.
Engage from River.
Going for a little bit more on, actually a little bit. Yagao puts in the ultimate. Stixay is down, and they've got Gory as well. There's no more damage to be had. On sacrifices his life. Huhi is the last one left standing. And finally, BLG will take the win and bring themselves to the bracket stage.
Clean performance overall from BLG.